Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and today we're going to do something that's a little humbling to me, but I do also think it's just going to be fun. I'm going to go through all of my preseason predictions and takes, that I published, right? That I had in my Google Drive for these videos, for these shorts, and we're going to see what I did. Now, I haven't actually read through them again. I just pulled up the docs, so I don't, I'm not hiding anything. I'm going to lay it all out, and I'm going to be seeing these for the first time, at least because I remember some of them that were good. But some of these I'm going to be seeing for the first time again as I go through them here. Before we get into how wrong I was in August, if you have been enjoying my content, or if this is just your first time, maybe you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel. It would help me out a ton. I'm having so much fun doing this, and the growth that I've already had is such a blessing, and I'm so thankful for it. So if you have been enjoying the videos, or you're new here, please subscribe. It would help me out a ton. Thank you. So first off, I had some player expectations for specific guys. First one here is Ty Simpson. I was pretty pro on Ty Simpson, actually. I thought he was going to have a really good year. I do have ceiling could be New York in there. That obviously didn't happen. I did also have in these notes that it'd be a good running game and a great offensive line to take pressure off of him. That did not come true. But I said Ty Simpson would be pretty good. He was never really in it for the Heisman, so maybe I was a little bit high there. Oh, here's a bad one. Oh, here are two bad ones. Jackson Arnold. I did not have him as a Heisman sleeper. I said he would not blow your mind with the numbers. That was pretty good. I did say he would be very reliable and lead Auburn to a good season. Now, he was not reliable, and Auburn did not have a good season. So that is an 0-2. And then I've got DJ Lagway here. I called him one of three potential superstars that could emerge at quarterback this year. I said New York was his ceiling. Looking at the talent of the offense, the flashes of that were still there. Freshman mistakes showed up at times. I had that in my notes. Those still came up. He was injured. He didn't have great practices, but definitely was a little too high on DJ Lagway. And then two more player expectations here. First one is Garrett Nussmeier. I had worries with their offensive line, and I had worries with his picks in big spots. So I did not have him going to New York. I had him being just okay. I had him being solid. I definitely thought he was going to be better than he was. And a lot of that obviously is because of that abdominal injury that really we didn't know about till late. But Nussmeier, I don't think I was too far off on. And then John Mateer, I'll let you guys decide this because I was high on Oklahoma and I was high on Mateer. I said he was a nightmare matchup against any defense. I said he has really, I had really high hopes for Oklahoma. So he played pretty well. He had surgery on his throwing hand, and then you saw the offense kind of slow down. I still think I should get some credit for John Mateer, at least when he was healthy. Obviously, he didn't play out with the numbers that I thought he would, but I was proud of my Oklahoma. All right, this next one here, I've got three teams who I said will disappoint. First one, I said Tennessee. I had them going 7-5 and 3-5 in the SEC. I was just one game short of that. But really, my reasons is that I did not like Joey Aguilar coming in. I didn't like him at all. He had low completion rate and high picks. That still kind of played out. His completion rate was better. He did throw some good picks, but his explosives and his good were way better than I thought they were going to be, which is why they were a game ahead. But I do remember also I did a buy and sell video on a peek inside the SEC football with TJ Pittenger and Allie Peak, and I sold Tennessee's passing game as a whole. That one was bad. Joey Aguilar really surpassed my expectations for what he could do. I just had to have more respect in Josh Heupel, right, and what his system is going to do, how he's going to have his quarterbacks playing. So Tennessee, 7-5 or 8-4. It wasn't really a disappointment overall in my mind, I think, but it was an underwhelming given what their fans thought, right, and what some of the national narratives were. LSU I had going 8-4. Now, I had said Nussmeier is great, got to limit his picks. He didn't really do that. Great wideouts, love their linebackers. But my biggest point here was, what is the offensive line? And I think you kind of saw that come to fruition in some of their harder games. I had them losing to Clemson, Ole Miss, yay. Bama, yay. Oklahoma, yay. Okay, so I had three of the SEC losses nailed down. I wrote in here, there were national championship hopes, but I thought it was going to just be a decent bowl game. Yeah, maybe that bowl game against Houston is decent. I don't know, but I do think I hit LSU pretty well. And then Texas A&M I had going 8-4. That one's bad. I said they have a great talent profile. I said I love Marshall Ridden, the running backs, and the defensive line. But my main reason here is that that's kind of the same story that we've seen with A&M, right? Where the talent is there, the roster is there. They just can't quite get over that hump. And then they were undefeated on Thanksgiving. I wrote that I had to just see it to believe it. I had them losing to Arkansas because it was a trap game in between Florida and LSU. I had them losing that game at LSU. I had them losing at Missouri. Then I had them losing at Texas. Nailed it. So I was a little low on A&M, but they were really, really good. They were a really fun team to watch during that back half of the year. I got really high on them. I picked them against Miami, but I did have A&M going 8-4 again, and they proved me wrong by 3 games. This document is just called Hot Takes. This will be interesting. My top one is South Carolina makes the SEC championship. I had them going 9-3 overall, 6-2 in conference with losses at LSU and at A&M. Yeah, I was really high on the Lanorris Sellers. I was very high on Nick Harbor, and I was really excited that they got Roswell Faison eligible. I thought that offense had all the firepower in the world to go beat anybody, and they did have question marks on defense, but they returned 2 second-team SEC defensive backs in Jalen Kilgore and Josh Collier. I really like Justin Okoronkwo at linebacker. And Dylan Stewart, he was still there. He needed some help. I wasn't sure about it. I still had Carolina going 9-3 and making it to Atlanta. That wasn't good. Here's a really good one. I had Oklahoma going 10-2 and making the playoff. That one I'm very proud of. I had their losses being at Carolina and at Alabama. So I actually missed on both of their losses. But still got 10-2. Because Mateer and Arbuckle, it needs to work. I think it will. That didn't actually really play out at all, right? Because once Mateer got hurt and we got to that second half of the year, they weren't winning offensively. They were winning it defensively. So I really did kind of have a misread on Oklahoma's offense this year, but their defense was so good that my outlook for their team actually still played out. So I will take that. Another hot take here. I said 3 SEC quarterbacks make the Heisman ceremony. There was only one, but I have 5 names here that I thought had the chance to do it. It was DJ Lagway, Lanorris Sellers, Garrett Nussmeier, John Mateer, and Arch Manning. That was not, I think preseason, I think if I told you that, you're like, okay, 3 is a little ambitious, but all 5 of those guys I could see getting there, right? So I think with hindsight, we can call Will dumb. And I have no problem calling Will dumb in hindsight here. Preseason, this might not have been horrible. At least we got 1 in there. At least Pavia got there. But I had 3 SEC quarterbacks to make the Heisman ceremony. I didn't even have Pavia written down here as an option. So that's not good. This last one here, I said that 2 3-loss teams make it to the playoff. So 1 got in there. Bama got in there. So this is just for this is overall. So because I thought cannibalism in the conference in the SEC this year was really going to play out. I thought Bama was obviously good. There, Texas up there, Oklahoma up there, Georgia up there, Ole Miss. I didn't have Ole Miss up there, but I had them written in my doc for some reason. So my question was, with all these teams cannibalizing each other in the SEC, who else is going to fill all those spots? Because I had the ACC as a 2-bid max league. There were only 1. The Big 12 I had as a 1-big league. The Big 10 I said 3. Then you had Notre Dame, and the G5 is 8. I did not account for what happened with the ACC. Obviously, the other conferences I didn't get a great read on, but I thought that 2 3-loss SEC teams would make it to the playoff. 1 did. And, Texas was right there. So I was actually very close to nailing that. That would have been pretty cool. But that one also missed. So I went 0 for 4 on my hot takes. No, Oklahoma. I went 1 for 4 on my hot takes before the season. So that's great. And then these are some futures I had with value for the betting market. I said Tennessee would go under 8.5 wins at minus 135. Got it. Because, I had them going 7-5, like I said, so I even had that extra game of insurance to where I could be wrong on the Vols by a game and still have it play out. When they had that field goal lined up against Georgia, I remember this vividly. I was like, they're going to go 10-2 and beat my ass on this bet. That field goal, I do believe, won me that bet, so that's pretty nice. Oklahoma over 3.5 conference wins. Banger. That was plus 110 because they played Auburn, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee at home. And Missouri and LSU. Texas was on home neutral site. And they were at Carolina, at Bama. I had them losing both those road games, which they didn't actually end up doing, but I was able to have my faith in Oklahoma to go at least 500 in SEC play, and they did. Then I took 2 shots here to make it to Atlanta. I had South Carolina, that plus 100, that was a miss. And then I had Oklahoma at plus 1,000. Now, they weren't really in the mix to make it to Atlanta at the end, but they only lost 2 conference games, right? So they actually, they were pretty close. So getting them a plus 1,000, I did like that value. I like their talent profile. Again, I did like their offense. I wasn't ready for their defense. I knew it was going to be good. I wasn't ready for it to be the reason they won games. So I actually wasn't that far off on Oklahoma making the SEC title game. And then I put down these 3 guys to be Heisman finalists because if any one of them made it, it would have paid for me. It was Lagway, Sellers, and Mateer. I had a lot of faith in those 3 quarterbacks. I had a ton of faith in those 3 quarterbacks, and it just didn't work very well. It doesn't work very well at all. Then I had a document that's just teams that will surpass expectations. Now, I'm going to start off with the one that I hit. I've already brought this up before, but Oklahoma, I had them going 10-2, 6-2 in conference play. Yes, I was inaccurate on which games they actually lost, which ones they actually won, but I was able to nail Oklahoma's record. I had them going to the playoff. That I am proud of, and hopefully that fact makes you all ignore what I'm about to say to you, because I had Florida and Auburn both going 9-3. For Florida, if Lagway is healthy, they had one of the best and most experienced offensive lines in the league on paper. That didn't really play out how we thought it would. They had a good talent at running back, a deep wide receiver room. They had a very talented and experienced D-line. That was also true on paper. Florida's trenches on paper looked really good, and then you got into the season, and both sides were pretty soft. The D-line came on a little bit as the season went on. Offensive line still left a lot to be desired. And then Auburn I had going 9-3. I liked Jackson Arnold there a lot. I thought being in a new spot with those receivers would get his confidence back. I liked their defense a lot, anchored by Keldrick Falk, Riddick, Jay Crawford. The defense did play very well. So the defense I think I hit. But the offense, I was high on their O-line being so experienced. Let up a lot of sacks. Now, obviously, part of that is Jackson Arnold and sort of what he does in the pocket. But, man, I was high on Auburn's offense. At least higher than I should have been given the production. But Auburn definitely let me down. Auburn, Florida, and Carolina really let me down this year. And it can't be my fault. It can't be my fault. Because I did the research, right? Like, what I said made sense. They just didn't do it. But that'll do it. Those are all the hot takes that I can at least find right now. My predictions for the beginning of the season. This is hard to do. It is really hard to make that many predictions and not make yourself look silly, but it's fun. It's a blessing to be able to do this anyway. So if you did enjoy this video, have been enjoying my content, please subscribe. I've been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.